And now your host, Richard Thomas.
Hello, and welcome to It's a Miracle. This episode could easily be dedicated to St. Anthony, the patron saint of lost objects. For each of our stories concerns something lost and eventually found in a truly remarkable way. First, a story that proves that at least where lost objects are concerned, time and tide wait for one man. There's nothing like long summers on a beautiful lake to fill a lifetime with precious memories. For Greg Cander's, Lake Lucerne near Bangor, Maine is just such a place.
It is such a unique, changing lake all the time. You can go to many different areas of this lake and turn a corner and it looks totally different than the spot that you were just in. So there's always a surprise around the next corner or in the next cove.
But the surprises aren't limited to just the surface of the lake.
As soon as you get underwater, it becomes an entirely different environment. It becomes very quiet, becomes very peaceful.
Greg's love of diving allows him to indulge in his passion for treasure hunting.
I enjoy finding items that people have lost because it's so rewarding to find something that means something very special to someone and to be able to give it back to them. It's a wonderful pastime.
One that he enjoys sharing with other people. And in the summer of 2000, Greg took his treasures for the first time to the home of Mary Dresser, a long-time lake resident.
Hi, Mary. How are you today?
Fine. How are you?
Look, I said the other day I'd stop by and show you some of the things I found when I've been diving in the lake. Is this a good time to take a look?
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I'd love to see them.
Oh, great.
I enjoyed talking about the lake, hearing some of the history from somebody who had actually been here in some of the early days of this lake. Any memories?
And Mary Dresser had a lifetime of stories that revolved around Lake Lucerne.
My father was first there around 1915. There was no road around there like there is now. We had to go by boat to get to both of the camps. We came down for the summer. We never went back to the city. Once we get down for the summer, we stayed right there. I always said that's the best legacy my father could have left to me, was this lake, because I loved it.
Every summer throughout her childhood, Mary would look forward to the arrival of her best friend, Barbara.
Barbara was special to me because we had so much in common. We loved to swim. We were always in the water. I can't remember when I probably didn't have a bathing suit on. We spent a lot of time on the islands, a lot of nights on the islands, sleeping out over there. We'd build a fire and cook a supper. It was a pretty simple life, really. We had to think up things to do. We made fun out of everything we did.
My name is Kai-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, Kai-yi, humbleberry, wally-wally whiskey, Chinese chopsticks, chow mein.
I just look forward to seeing Barbara coming, you know, every summer.
And what she looked forward to most was the long afternoons they spent together fishing.
The others didn't care too much about fishing, but we did, so we was always trying to find a boat so we could go fishing. We'd just stay out there for hours, trying to catch a bass, a big one.
Mary's memories of fishing with Barbara rekindled another story from the past.
I'd like to tell you a little story about something I know that was lost in the lake years ago.
Great.
A friend of mine.
It started on a summer day in 1932 when Barbara's Aunt Dorothea entrusted her with a precious keepsake.
Whatever are you doing, young lady?
We're going fishing.
Make sure you don't soil your pretty outfit.
I won't.
Well, wait. Here. Take my watch and make sure you're back on time.
I will be.
Remember, we went off her beach. We was probably using her boat that day. And we went out on this herd point because there were big bass out there. We wanted to get a big one. We didn't want any of these little ones anymore. So, of course, the water's so clear in this lake, you can look down to the bottom anywhere, a long ways down, and see them. We could see them down there swimming around and trying to get them to bite our worms.
Oh no! It's not my fault. I didn't mean to. I leaned over too far.
I saw that watch go down to the bottom of the lake, and I thought, oh my Lord.
Try and get it out with yours. I think your hook's a little bigger.
And we tried and tried, but of course, we couldn't get hold of it.
It's too deep.
And it was too deep for us to dive down. We both were good swimmers, but we couldn't dive that deep.
I say we give up.
To think she had to go ashore and tell her aunt she lost that nice watch down the bottom of the lake. That was scary.
So I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Barbara, wherever have you been? We need to get going.
We were scared to go ashore to tell her
Oh, I bet you were.
lost that watch.
Oh.
I was afraid for her. I didn't have to face her, but she...
When Mary finished telling the story of the long-lost wristwatch, Greg began to wonder if it might still be down there.
Mary, do you suppose you could remember pretty close to where you were when this happened?
Yes, I think I do. I can tell exactly where it was.
I was really excited to think that there was something out there like that that meant so much to somebody, that if I could find something like that, it would be like passing them an entire box of memories and saying, here, open it up.
A few days later, Greg took his boat and his metal detector to the rocky edge of Herd Point to try his luck.
I actually did not feel that I would find this watch. There were just too many variables involved. The fact that so much time had passed, the fact that the site had not really been narrowed down all that well. And when I got down onto the bottom, I just started moving along, checking out with a metal detector. And in the process of doing so, I started finding a lot of pieces of metal that were not what I was looking for. And at that point was kind of discouraged and thought, well, this is just another lost cause. It's just another one of the items I've gone to look for that I didn't have correct information, and it never would be found. And so I thought, well, I'll swim back to the boat, but I figured I'd drop down to the bottom and swim in that direction anyway and check as I went back towards the boat. And as I went across this area, I picked up a beep in the metal detector. So I dug down through the green mossy material and started to make a little hole in the bottom.
As Greg dug deeper into the lake bed, the metal detector continued to respond to something buried below.
By now I had gone all the way down about 8 or 10 inches down through the mossy material and down through the mud into a layer of gravel. And I would filter out the material in my hand and watch it to see if there was any items in it. I was letting this gravel sift out through my hand, and there was a metallic object. So I turned the metallic object over and I rubbed it with my thumb. I could see the face of a watch. And I knew that this was what I had been looking for. I was holding a watch in my hand that had been on the bottom of the lake for 68 years. The last person to touch that watch was Mary Dresser's best friend, Barbara. And I was the first person to touch that watch since that entire time. And it just made me feel incredible that I had located it.
Greg decided that before he showed the watch to Mary, he would take the time to clean it.
You could still read the time on it. You could read the manufacturer. You could see the second hand. and it was still in very good shape.
But was it Aunt Dorothea's watch? That question would be answered by a jeweler in Bangor, Maine.
The gentleman at the watch repair shop asked me to tell him how the strap was attached. When I told him, and he said that dates the watch in the 1920s or early 30s, which gave me pretty much concrete proof that this had to be Mary Dress's best friend Barbara's watch.
Take a look at what I found.
Anxious to return the treasure to Barbara, Greg first took it to Mary Dresser.
I can't believe you found this watch after all those years.
Isn't that incredible?
Unbelievable.
It was just a wonderful experience to see the reaction from her and to realize through her eyes just how much it meant to her.
She'll be amazed. I can't believe you found this watch.
Oh, I think it's amazing.
Yeah. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think anybody would find that watch.
Knowing that her dear friend would be overjoyed by the discovery, Mary gave Greg the phone number for Barbara's son, John Alter.
Hello? John, this is Greg Canders calling from Bangor, Maine.
The first thing that struck me about Greg was that he had a real story to tell.
Your mom lost this watch over the side of the boat.
I thought that I knew every story from my mother's past, and she had never mentioned this watch. His story, started to really warm my heart because it was the watch, and she was about to turn 80.
Well, she is.
His mother's birthday was coming up the following month, and I thought, oh, what a tremendous surprise this would be if I packaged it up as a birthday present to her.
On December 17th, 2000, Barbara Alter found herself surrounded by family and friends gathered to celebrate her 80th birthday. Little did Barbara know that she was about to receive the surprise of a lifetime.
My 80th birthday party comes. I have children who write poems about things, and it's my son John's turn to read his poem, which is every event. He always has a poem. And he stands up and starts a letter.
Dear Mrs. Alter, my name is Greg Canders, and I live in Bangor, Maine. And though we have never met,
I think, well, an address up in Maine, and dear Mrs. Alter, and I think, how a strange way to get at what he wants to say about his mother.
The story begins 68 years ago in a beautiful cove near Herd Brook. Luckily, another young lady the same age, named Mary Lunt, lived in the only other cottage in your cove.
By the second paragraph, all of a sudden it dawns on me this is a real letter from someone I don't know, and I'm just absolutely flabbergasted.
One day, when you were 12 years old, you had made plans to head off in your rowboat. Your Aunt Dorothea was staying with you, and she gave you her wristwatch so that you would be home by a certain time. What a great day it must have been. Two young girls off for another summer adventure on the lake. The last stop was Herd Point. It was fun to lean over the side of the boat and look down into the crystal clear water and see the large bass swimming way down by the bottom. Everything was going well until somehow your Aunt Dorothea's watch came out of your pocket, went over the side of the boat, and sunk to the bottom of the lake. I cannot imagine how terrible you must have felt as a 12-year-old girl on your way back to your cottage to tell your aunt that you had lost her watch. How scared and disappointed you must have been. 68 crisp, colorful autumns went past. 68 long, cold, icy Maine winters froze the lake. 68 beautiful springs came and went, as did 68 warm, sunny summers pass since Aunt Dorothea's watch landed on the bottom of Lucerne Lake. Last summer, I met your dear old friend, Mary Dresser. Mary told me the story of your aunt's watch. My birthday gift to you, Barbara, is this tarnished old watch. May it open a treasure chest of wonderful memories, memories of sunny days, blue skies, clear water, tree-covered green mountains, and a loving family. Perhaps even for a brief moment, your memories will take you back, and you will become that 12-year-old girl again.
That's as far as John got. It was so beautifully written, and I was just overwhelmed.
She was moved and I was moved, and it was a great moment. Mom, happy birthday.
I couldn't believe I was holding this jeweler's box, and I opened it up, and there was the watch. Here it is in my hands. It's just unbelievable. It's miraculous. Oh my goodness gracious. It's so incredible. And it completely transformed the whole birthday party. That became the event, was the watch. Everyone had to look at it. And I'm overcome.
He was a force. And Greg was not there, and Mary Dresser was not there, and yet they were very much present. It was a very palpable sense that those people who had loved the lake before us were there as witnesses.
The following summer, Barbara returned to her childhood playground to visit her dear friend Mary and to meet the man who had delivered the gift of the lake to her birthday party.
Hi, Greg. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're a sight for sore eyes.
Mary.
Good to see you.
Two people at once. Oh my goodness.
So nice to meet you.
I was hoping we had a big hug. Oh,
so nice to meet you.
It just gave me such an overwhelming sense of pride and such an overwhelming wave of happiness that it's just been tremendous.
You got an awful nice mom.
To meet a poet and a diver and a
Right.
Well, we've got a lot of things to talk about.
I think people who spend time in an area like this get humbled a little bit because you can see that there's something much greater happening around you and you're just a small part of it. And every once in a while, everything all comes together and lines up and produces something like this happening, which it makes you feel very nice.
I was looking forward to seeing you.
Hey, you got a new watch.
Smaller. Greg, to me, it's so wonderful that he has responded to the lake the way I have, which means that he has that side of him like you want every human being to have. And I just think he's remarkable.
Even more remarkable is the friendship between Barbara and Mary, a friendship that has lasted for nearly 70 years.
And then perhaps it's like our fishing relationship, that we don't need to say a lot. We just feel very, very close to each other. So I just have one more.
She's a pretty precious friend to have. We had wonderful times together. She looks the same to me. I can see her just as a child. I mean, she looks just the same.
Like a watch that stopped ticking 68 years ago, time has stood still on Lake Lucerne for childhood friends Mary Dresser and Barbara Alter.
The miracle for me is the lake itself and all that's in my life. Reality is something that is so important to all of us and so hard to find. And the lake and the spirit of the lake, the joy of the lake is real. And we need to learn to see that side of life more often.
I don't know about you, but I feel like packing my bags and moving to Maine. What beautiful scenery and friendly people. Well, we wanted to catch up with everyone involved in this story, and so Greg, Barbara, and Mary join us now from Lake Lucerne. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Richard.
First of all, Greg, news travels pretty fast around a small lake. Has anyone else asked you to hunt for lost treasures?
I've had one request to look for another lost watch, and I suspect that after this is aired, there may be a few more requests coming in. I think it's going to be interesting to see if I do hear from any other people. One of the things that I've really enjoyed about this whole episode is that I'm sure as a young lady that Barbara had a lot of guilt about losing her aunt's watch, and this finally gives her a little bit of closure to that whole event.
Correct.
Well, speaking of Aunt Dorothea, what do you think she would say about all this?
They must be laughing up in heaven. I'm sure she's very happy that such a good end came to that story.
And what about the watch?
I keep in the left-hand outside corner of my coffee table with the lid up, because I like to look at it. I try to keep it dusted, and there it is.
Mary, you and Barbara have had an incredibly long friendship. How has this incident affected your relationship?
Well, it's made us be even closer.
That's right, that's right.
Always glad to see each other every
Can
summer.
hardly wait every summer.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to share your story with us. And I want to wish you many more lovely summers together on the lake.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're very happy right now.